Welcome back to another episode of Emotional Nightmares. I am your host. My name is Tyler. On today's episode, we're going to bring to you another recovery story. So I got a friend Rob here that is going to share with us a little bit about his story and how it is that he found recovery, how he found hope to put that shit down. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and Rob, you want to introduce yourself to us?
Yeah, I'm Rob. I'm an addict. I am from Oil City. I live in Franklin now, but I grew up my whole life pretty much in Oil City. I had a somewhat normal childhood. My parents, they split up when I was 5, and my mom, she had her issues with addiction. And
Did you live with your mom?
Up until 5, yeah.
Okay.
They were together. But I grew up with my dad primarily, and my grandparents helped raise me quite a bit too, my aunts. But just partying was kind of part of it too. And
When you were young? Like
yeah.
Your parents and everybody were partying?
Yeah.
Okay.
And just around it a little bit, seeing it.
And when you say partying, right, you're meaning like alcohol, drugs, like the whole nine?
Yeah, just mostly alcohol.
Okay.
And maybe here and there I'd see something else, but they split up when I was 5, and so I had pretty much a good childhood. We went out camping all the time and stuff, and like that was the thing. Like, we went out camping out in Dempsey Town, and like it was. I loved it out there because I was a kid. I had a great time swimming, playing with the kids, but for the adults it was, all weekend long party and people getting smashed and all kind of stuff. But that was just kind of like, I didn't even. It was normal.
Yeah.
It was like one of those things where it just became normalized, I guess. But then I'd come home from camping, go to school and stuff and whatnot. My mom, she would show up here and there throughout my childhood, and but like I said, she had her addiction path as well.
So when you say here and there, like she would come like maybe like once a month, every now and then?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
you never knew when she was going to show up?
Yeah.
How old were you at that time?
I was pre-10, up until I was like 12, 13.
A lot of anger during that time?
A little bit. I was a pretty closed-off kid.
So you just internalized it?
Yeah, I internalized anything, and I kept to myself quite a bit. I wasn't like very outgoing, but I had friends and stuff in school, and became a teenager, and like 12, 13. That's when I first tried like alcohol and weed, and I loved it, obviously.
Right.
I loved the feeling it gave me. It was like it just eased everything, like it took me out of like.
You no longer had to feel the emotions.
Yeah, it took me out of here, kinda, or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't have to feel emotions or anything, and that was it through high school. I played sports and stuff, middle school and high school.
What'd you play?
I wrestled.
Okay. Were you good?
Yeah, I was pretty decent. I guess.
All right.
And I didn't go to states or anything, but I thought I was good. But yeah, and it just like the progression of it is, I started when I was started using like 13-ish, and like I was into sports and stuff, and then like gradually I started falling off of things. Like I didn't even wrestle my senior year. I would rather just hang out and party, and no time for that, so drinking, like, me and the boys all week long, mow grass and stuff, get some money together for the weekend, and then just go out in the woods and or up on the train bridge in Steverly and just get it in. You know what I mean? But definitely doing that, I could tell, like at the end of the weekend, I didn't want to stop. And I would, but I didn't want to. You know, like,
Yeah, I
you know,
know
like,
the
oh
feeling.
man, I gotta go back to school because I did go to school. I did graduate, and like,
Well, that's good.
my dad was really strict with me, you know, and through, you know, and whatnot. Like I had to get C+ grades and stuff, like, you know, and you know, up until like after I graduated, that's when things really, you know, went crazy. But up until then, it was just party on the weekends.
So then you graduate and then you went nuts.
Kinda, yeah.
Okay, how so?
Oh, I don't want to say no. I mean, it just kept progressing, man. You know, they wanted me to. Apparently, you know, my dad, my stepmom, they wanted me to get a job. You know, and I wasn't feeling it. You know, and this is the time I was just turned 18, and yeah, my mom came back around and said, "Hey, I got a place out in Seneca. You know, I'm only going to the methadone clinic now. I'm doing a lot better." And so I was like, okay. And I knew she wouldn't make me like get a job or anything. So I moved in with her, and but quickly realizing that just the methadone clinic wasn't the only thing going on. And you know, that's when I started getting into like pills and stuff, and then it was just became like an everyday thing.
Right.
From there.
So what was the turning point? What was the okay, this has to stop moment?
I mean,
So I mean, clearly everything went to hell, right? Like that's
I
usually what
mean,
happens with
yeah,
us.
everything went to hell. I mean, throughout my 20s, I did work. I did end up getting a job around like 2021, you know, and uh, I got hurt at work and got piss tested and got fired.
Right.
And then I found another job, which I worked at for like 6 years, but, you know, and it just seemed, they never piss tested, so I could just keep doing what I was doing.
So basically, you were finding these jobs to help supply your habit.
Yeah,
though.
yeah,
Like
'cause
you weren't like.
yeah, I wasn't like out burglarizing or anything. It was
Right,
just,
right.
you know, when I first got on, I first got some money and paychecks. I was like, oh, okay, so this is just, I can just do this and get money to support my habit. You know, like just work, like kind of take care of some things, but then everything else went to drugs. You know, like
Right, right.
anything extra, like I wasn't getting anywhere in life. It was just pay some bills maybe, and then
Right.
party.
Make sure the cell phone's on to call the dope man.
Yeah,
Just-
yeah, you know,
Yeah.
stuff like that. So,
Okay.
like, so I did work and throughout pretty much all my addiction, but it was working to get, you know, party basically.
So, what made you? So that's interesting that you say that, right? Because like a lot of people listening, and a lot of people that are out here struggling,
Hmm.
they do maintain jobs,
Oh yeah,
right? And then it turns into, no, I'm a functional
That-
addict or
that
a
was it.
functional alcoholic.
that was it. I looked at myself as a, you know, I didn't even say an addict. I was just, you know, I'm functioning. I'm good, you know.
Right. You're surviving.
My favorite line, I'm good, you know.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Surviving, not thriving.
well, yeah, like when I got into the, you know, program, 12-step program and whatnot, I really, you know, I quickly realized that, like, this doesn't discriminate. This disease does not discriminate to anybody. I mean,
So what made you decide, like, I got to go to these meetings? Because did you go to rehab?
oh yeah, I went to rehab.
Okay.
Well,
What took you to
So-
rehab?
like I got in trouble a couple of times in my early 20s, probation for a year, and it was always like I always had a job, so and my hours were always weird.
Mm-hmm.
So they would like let me know ahead of time, like a couple weeks ahead of time. Hey, you're gonna need to come on this. Like, when's your next day off? And I'd look at my next day off, and then I'd look at the next day off, and be like, that's my next day off. That way I could.
So you were playing the system.
So like, oh yeah,
Yeah,
you know,
of course.
Yeah, 3 days before, I'd be pounding gallons of water, and I'd go in and, you know, piss water basically and pass,
Right.
and you know, just getting by, and then I'd go out in the car and I'd have something ready to go, when I left, but so like, I mean, 3 days was probably the most I had clean in like a 12-year span, and it was just because I had to pass the piss test for something,
Right.
So, that, later in my 20s, I got a couple DUIs. I got 2 DUIs in a month, and that's really what springboarded getting help, I guess. Like my first DUI, because I eventually, of course, the disease progressed, and I went from pills, I went to meth, and that's when things got really bad. That's when it went from
When the meth came in,
functioning
you started messing
to
around.
not functioning.
Yeah.
Started messing around.
It's funny, like when we're doing meth, like how, like, oh man, I got all this energy, I'm getting all this stuff done, but meanwhile, like, we're really not doing anything.
Not doing anything.
Except for peeking out windows.
Yeah. Running from drones and.
Yeah.
Oh man. Thinking everybody's a CI and.
Everybody thinks the feds are coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just insane,
It's common.
Yeah, my first DUI was, I've been up for like 8 days straight, worked 50 hours, and my addict brain was like I'm gonna use another drug to try and come down from this other drug,
Right. I get it.
And so I drank like a whole bottle of alcohol, and that was my solution to come down. And it didn't work like that. I proceeded to drink that and then get in a car and leave. And I don't really remember a whole lot after that.
Well, thank God nobody got hurt.
Exactly. Thank God nobody got hurt, man. I just ended up getting arrested outside my uncle's house with everybody watching, and I didn't care. At that point, I was so far gone. Like I didn't even care.
Right.
And just, okay, come pick me up in the morning at the cop shop. Went back up and got my car and left, and but then like about a month later, I got another one, and this one was, non-alcohol related. I woke up that day and got really high and left. I mean, it was just a concoction of all kinds of different things, and I was going out to Taco Bell, and because it just opened up. On my way back, I nodded off at the wheel and went through a red light. Some lady hit me inside, like right here, and like I spun around in the middle of the intersection, and everybody was going nuts, and I woke up from it, like, holy cow, and thankfully nobody got hurt, and the cops pulled me to the side, and and I look back now and I think of it like I didn't even think of the lady who hit me at all. It was, how can I get out of this situation? How can I lie and manipulate my way out of this? And so I don't get in trouble or something. I don't want to get in trouble. And the cop wasn't buying it, of course. He just looked in my eyes and he's like, "You look like you're on something." And I was like, "You're bullshit," And yeah, ended up getting another DUI there, and it's so wild. I just think back now. I didn't consider anybody else. I was just so self-centered, selfish, didn't care,
Well, I mean,
and
addiction is rooted in selfish behavior,
yeah.
right? Like, so, and even in the beginning, like you've described it. So, like in childhood, you start learning that selfish behavior because, like, you were watching your parents who are, no knock to them, because I'm sure, that was just normal back growing up.
Yeah,
was
that's the thing. It's normal.
Everybody's out partying and carrying on, but your parents have you young?
Yeah, like 20.
Yeah.
20 years old.
So, like, it's always common with, like, when parents have children young, because it's like they're still trying to figure out life too. So to them, that's just normal behavior as well.
Yeah.
So, but we start learning the selfish behaviors of, like, I need to get attention. how do I lie to get this or get that, right? So So our addiction is rooted in that for the most part. So like obviously you're not gonna think about that girl
Oh no.
when that happens.
You know,
So
how can I get out of this? Like
right.
not get in trouble.
So was that the turning point? That
Yeah.
was like I better go to a fucking meeting.
Well, no, I went to detox and rehab after that. Like
Okay.
that happened, and then I started. I went to court one time for my first DUI, and they recommended I do I got put on pre-trial supervision, and that's when it really.
So drug court.
No, not drug court. It was pre-trial
I got you. I got you.
yeah,
Okay.
just
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
probation, but before you get sentenced.
Yeah, our county does that. A
Yeah.
lot of counties don't do that, but ours does.
And that's when it really started to sink in, like maybe I'm an addict, because was in complete denial for this, because I was always, I'm not as bad as that person, because I never used a needle or anything. I put everything up my nose or
Right.
smoked it, so I'd be in the trap house with somebody shooting up or something, but I'm not doing that. So that's an addict. I'm not an addict. I got a job in the car, even though I ended up losing all that, like in a really quick time,
Right.
But yeah, it was always denial. I forget where I was going with that. Oh yeah, pre-trial supervision. So yeah, I'm going in. They doing piss tests, and I'm failing. I failed like 3 in a row, and they're like, "Dude, we're gonna put you in jail," and then yeah, because I couldn't stop. I just couldn't stop using it. I'd be like, yeah, I'll be good next time. I'd leave, and I would like try to not get high, and it wouldn't even be a day, And I'm like, screw it, Like I don't care anymore. That type of attitude, and but then I went up for a SAP assessment, and this was like, it's high as a kite, and had stuff in the car waiting for after the SAP assessment, but I went in and for some reason I was honest with the guy. I don't know what came over me. Gift of desperation, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, they asked me like how much I was using, how often, what I was using, da da da, and I was just like straight up with them. And then they left for like 10 minutes and came back and like, hey, we're not gonna make you go to rehab, but we think you should go to rehab, and offered me rehab. And I said yes, and at the time, I still wasn't like thinking I was gonna quit using, but I heard that like maybe if I go to rehab, it'll look better in court or something, like that mentality. But I think
That's what most people
I
hear.
think deep down I had like there was a desperate thing going on, my higher power working. So yeah, then they sent me a detox, and then rehab, and even going there was like, I got there and they pointed out all these different 12-step programs, and I went to the one that I figured I should go to because I'm a tweaker, and yeah, just like the seed was planted, even though I wasn't completely sold at first. Because I wanted to leave rehab like 3 days in. I was like, this ain't for me, screw this, da da da. But going to a few meetings in rehab really opened my eyes to, holy crap, like this I have a disease, and like it can affect anybody, like sitting in rehab with a guy who's a doctor prescribing himself painkillers or something, and he got hooked on them. Like, well, he's a doctor, like holy cow,
Right.
or somebody else, like just different walks of life, and like we're all here for the same reason. We can't stop using drugs. We want to stop, So there was a point in rehab where I did. Some came around where I was like, okay, I want this. I want to do this, So, honestly, there was something that happened in rehab that really, like, got in my head with, because it's a physical, mental, and spiritual disease. So like I'm like a month clean. I'm like, I'm gonna do this. I'm all in. And I was in my dorm room or whatever. It was like 4 guys, but I was the only one in there. And this guy came to the door, knocked on the door. I went out. He's like, "Hey man, how you doing?" And he was like, "What's your name?" "I'm Rob." We exchanged and whatnot. And he's like, "Hey, where are you from?" I said, "Oil City." He said, "Oil City, I'm only like an hour away from there." "Dude, I can get some really good stuff up there. We should hook up after we get out of here." Yada, yada, yada. And like, it was like a switch in my head where I was like, "Yeah, man, let's hook up after this." Like, exchange name, number, whatever. And like, I was like, "Yeah, man, let's do this." And then he walked away, and I stepped back in my room, and I was like, it hit me. I was like, what the hell just happened? Like, earlier that day, you were all in, and then like a flip of a switch, and that's when I realized it was.
Well, I mean that
Oh,
that
I'm here,
happens.
man.
That happens a lot to people, and like we don't talk enough about that mindset. So like, because I always tell people, and I've said this a billion times on here, like I always believe that people believe they want to change, right?
Mhm.
And like you see it a lot where it's like it's an environmental thing. This is why like changing people, places, and things is so crucial. And it's not about like the people that I'm around. It's about the kind of people that I know, right? Because
Yeah.
we can find the kind of people we know
Oh,
anywhere.
yeah.
But it's that quick, right?
Oh, it
Like
is.
if I'm not around people, I always say we don't need to be in the same book, but we don't need to be on the same page. We just got to be in the same book, right? So if I'm trying to go over here, like I'm trying to go right, you're trying to go left, what the fuck are we doing? Like what are we doing, right?
Yeah.
Like we both got to be trying to go right. Doesn't matter who's where in life. It just matters that our angle is the same,
Going in the
right?
same
So
direction. Yeah.
so if I'm just sitting here, and even now, man, if we were just sitting here and every day somebody comes to this house and they were talking to us, and every day they just come in, they throw a line of cocaine on the table, and I say cocaine because that was my DOC. We throw that on the table, or heroin for that matter, because that was our first love, let's be real. So they throw that on the table, and they were like, here, this is for you. And together, we're both going to be like, nah, man, we're good, right?
Yeah.
Nah, we're good. No, we're good, right? And we'll eventually phase that person out
Yeah.
together, right? Because together we survive, right? But like on my own, every day somebody comes in, they drop a line of heroin down. It's probably only gonna, and I've been sober now for a minute, so I'm gonna say, give me the 3 weeks, right? Before I say, well, maybe, right?
Yeah.
Before that no turns to a maybe.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, you take somebody fresh out of rehab or so that's got like a month clean, 2 months clean, even a year clean. It's every day in your phase. It's not gonna be long before you're like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
You know?
I remember what that does.
Yeah. Euphoria recall and like, yeah, you know what? I am having a bad day.
Yeah.
You know what? I am struggling. I know heroin will, it'll make me forget for a while. I'll just sit in the corner and tie my shoes with my lips and we'll be good. Right?
Yeah.
So I mean, it's good that you started recognizing that while you were in rehab. Like, oh shit,
Like,
what is going on?
That was like the moment where I realized, like, it's all in my head. It's between my ears, what is wrong, and like, I immediately picked up a book and started reading it. I hadn't even opened the book. It was sitting on my nightstand for a couple weeks. I hadn't even opened it yet. I was just going to groups, but yeah, and it changed my life, honestly.
So you got out of rehab?
Yeah, I got out and went straight to a meeting.
You've been going ever since?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. And then COVID was rough, but a lot of meetings.
COVID was rough. Kudos for surviving, right? Like, a lot of people in addiction did not survive through COVID. That was a rough time when they shut the country down. And it sucked because, like, yeah, we got the digital platforms and we can all meet, like, digitally.
Yeah, I did some Zoom meetings.
It's not the same.
And, like, my home group was open pretty much the whole time.
Yeah.
All through COVID. I think it shut down for like 2 weeks, and then it's not at a church, so it was a little different.
Right.
So,
yeah.
I had that and some Zoom meetings.
I mean, they did go back old school. Like, I saw meetings in people's houses like we used to do back when back in the 40s when the program was formulated, because it was
Yeah.
the 12-step program was created around then, and like so that was cool, but it did kill a lot of people, man, and unfortunately, like you saw a lot of people suffer, and it sucks because like that shows how important person to person contact is.
Oh yeah.
You know.
I can't do this alone.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah. So, what gives you that? What makes you keep going? Because how long you been sober now?
5 years, 10 months, and 15 days.
Okay. So for 5 years, you've been sober. So in that 5 year time, which is awesome, right? Like that's an amazing accomplishment that you've achieved so far. Because I imagine there was a time you couldn't put together. You said 3 days.
3 days is probably the most. Yeah.
So here you are, five years in. So what has kept you going these 5 years?
A lot of it is just selfless. I don't know, just wanting to help other people.
Okay.
And being around other people just like me who are wanting the same thing as me. This new way of life. Like I love this life now. Like clean. I got a lot of relationships now with people I never thought I would have with, and with family members that who aren't on in the addiction or anything like that. Like people, like if you weren't getting high, I didn't want anything to do with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I
So,
mean, why would you?
I mean, I might see you at like Christmas, but then even then it's like whatever. But I talk to people, like my family and stuff. It's great.
So you have meaningful relationships
meaningful
today.
relationships and stuff today. And so it's great. Yeah, I don't know. Just,
You got a vehicle
yeah,
now?
car, an apartment. I've lived in Franklin for pretty much since I got clean.
Yeah.
Just because I got a job down in Franklin and I didn't have a car. I didn't have anything when I first when I went to rehab. I had nothing. I wrecked my car in a DUI. I lost my job. I lost everything, and
So you've started rebuilding a life.
Yeah,
A
rebuilding.
quality of life.
yes, and, quality of life, and spirituality too. Like when I first got to rehab, I thought God hated me, or I blamed Him for everything. How could you let this happen to me? How could you do this to me? When the whole time I was doing it to myself, So,
Mm-hmm.
and I realizing that God was with me the whole time, I was just so selfish and I was running on my will, the whole time. And, I just, they have all those little phrases, like let go and stuff. And,
Yeah,
I
hate the cliche phrases.
You hate them?
I hate
took them.
them.
I had to take them to heart at the beginning because I didn't know anything about any of this stuff before I went to rehab. I didn't know another way of life for so long. Like it's all new. It was all new to me. Like literally learning a new way to live. Yeah.
So that's hard though, right?
It is. Yeah.
So I imagine in this time frame, so in that 5 years, I know that you would have had hardship, right? There's been some struggles in there.
Oh yeah.
As is life, right? But you didn't pick up during them.
Didn't pick up, no.
Right? So.
Because I know it wouldn't solve it. I mean,
Okay.
Like you just run the tape through, like that's. It's like I've lost the desire to use, but that doesn't mean I don't ever think of it. It's just
Sure.
I don't act on it, or it's quickly beat down by, yeah, you want to go back to that? Like, no, I don't want to go back to that. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's hell.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I went to rehab like 135 pounds. And now I'm like 220, I just eat.
It's crazy, like, the people that come into rehab. What's crazy is like I'll see them when they're like doing good, they're healthy, they got all this weight up, they're
Yeah.
looking good. Then they'll come after a relapse, and I'll be like, yeah, you look like shit. And they'll be like, what? And I'm like, dude, like,
What?
you're down to like 100 pounds. Like, you look like shit. Like, and in our active addiction, we don't see it,
We don't. Yeah. We
right?
don't see
Like, I
it.
know when I went to rehab, dude, I don't know, I was well down, and like, I was playing xylophone on my ribs, you know what I mean? And like, I'm like looking in the mirror, like, holy shit, like, where did I
Like, I look at
go?
old pictures like
You know?
I have like
Yeah.
right towards the end, and I look like skeleton. Yeah. Like, holy
Yeah.
cow, man.
Luckily, I got sober before I got sober in '06. So luckily, like, we didn't have, when I was using, there wasn't like, people still had like actual cameras. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
we didn't have phone cameras. We had actual cameras yet. I
Yeah.
think the phone cameras wouldn't have mattered anyway. Like, they look like shit. But
Yeah.
so luckily, there's very few pictures that exist of me in my active addiction, thank God.
Yeah.
Because I always think of that, like, ugh, I look like shit. But we think we look good,
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
So, what do you got going on today?
I just live life, live the program, man. I like to revolve around recovery. I mean, I go to meetings for almost every day. I'm constantly in contact with other recovering addicts, trying to help or be of service. I still work at the same job that I got like couple months after I got clean. I applied for a job and they hired me. I was like, holy crap. Because I went in there and, like, I'm trying to practice spiritual principles, being honest and everything. I was just completely honest with them. I'm like, hey, went to rehab. I got a couple of DUIs. I'm not going to be able to drive for a long time and yada, yada, yada. But I do have this work history. I think I did okay at my job, even though I was whacked out and stuff. But yeah, they gave me a chance, and I've been there ever since, and it's a great job in an office.
Nice.
And finally, after it took me almost 5.5 years to get my actual license back, but I did.
Nice.
And because I had to get one of the blow and goes in my car, and I was putting that off for a while.
Yeah, them things are a pain in the ass.
Yeah. I was trying to avoid doing that because you can get the license without a car and then just go a year and then get your license back. But because that's what I did at first. I applied for that and got the license, so that's when my year starts. But once I got the license in my hand, like a month later, I was out buying a car.
Yeah.
And getting it put in.
Those things are annoying. I remember I have a cousin, my cousin Greg. He had one. I remember us driving one time, and the damn thing went off, and it kept going off, and like we were stuck. It was showing that he was drinking, and it was because of his cologne.
Yeah, you gotta be careful.
I mean? Like, those things are crazy sensitive, and like, I don't know, pain in the ass. I mean, they are good, right? Obviously, if you've had all these DUIs and everything, and I don't know, there's some benefit to them, but neither here nor there.
Yeah.
So life's good today.
Yeah, life's great today, man.
So I went from hell to good.
I do all kinds of things clean, like float the river and just enjoy it, man.
Yeah.
It's a blessing, beautiful. Go do things. I don't have to, but it seemed like for so long I couldn't do anything without getting high. I couldn't go to Walmart without getting high because I didn't want to deal with people not high.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's great. I'm very trying to stay in the middle, man. That's what keeps me clean, what kept me clean, what got me clean.
So
give back what was so freely given to me.
So you're no longer surviving, you're thriving.
Yeah, I think so.
That's the hope. you know?
That is the hope.
I mean, at the end of the day, that's the whole point of it all, right? Is like to get out of survival mode and change our life and
just get out of that way of thinking, man.
And live.
Yeah.
You know?
Get out of that self-pity, the anger, and that fear. Not that I don't have any fear or anything today, but it's healthier than it was, I think.
Sure. You're not self-destructing
Yeah,
your life over a fear.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not self-destructive today.
Right. A little fear leads to insecurity, and then we self-destruct and destroy everything.
Yeah.
So. That's it. So, anything else you want to add?
I don't know, just, that there is hope and there is help. Like, we just had that awareness thing in the park yesterday, and, like...
Overdose
awareness.
Shout out to Sam.
Yeah. Shout out to them who put that together.
Her episode is on season 1. I might have her come back on season 2 and do a one-on-one, but her episode's on season 1 for Sam. She put together that awareness thing, and it was a good thing, so check her out.
It's great going to those things. It's like, I know when I was getting high and stuff, I didn't know about any of that. Like, there's so much help out there, and there's so many services, and like there's help for you, and if you're struggling, you can get it. You just have to want it. You have to go get it. Like, it's there.
Yeah.
There's so many vendors, but facilities. Vendors or whatever there. Giving out Narcan, giving out supplies, and just it's there.
There is help.
I didn't know about it. It's bringing awareness to that stuff is huge.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that's the whole hope. We got Recovery Month coming up in the park too, and by the time these episodes air, they'll be done and over with. And I don't know, but because we're recording these way in advance, but that one, the Recovery Month is the same thing, like the Recovery in the Park, where we bring a lot of vendors in, and that's what it's about, trying to show people, like, dude, if you're struggling, there's hope, right? Yeah. There's help.
There's hope, man.
So, and as always, and that'll take us to this, we'll wrap this up. So, that's what this podcast is about. So, you could have been anywhere in the world. You chose to sit here with us. Not for nothing. There is help. It's all about getting through one more day. So if, hopefully you heard something here today that's going to show you, man, there is hope out there. There is help to help you get through that one more day. Because if you can get through today sober, tomorrow looks a little bit better.
One day at a time.
That's it. So hopefully we can help you get through a day. I appreciate you guys for stopping through and listening. I appreciate you for coming on and sharing your story.
Absolutely.
So, all right, man. Keep coming back.
Keep coming back.
Thank you for watching.